Perfect. We're live. Right, today we've got Eliot Ash, who's one of the writers, part of the Working Theatre Writers Roundtable. We'll just quickly introduce him and then we'll kind of get going. How you doing, Eliot? How's things?
Good, brother. All good.
How's your day been? All right?
Yeah, not bad. Just,
cool. We met a while ago, didn't we? And it was a random. Do you remember when we met?
Yeah.
It was at the best of circumstances, but we were doing promo work, weren't we? And for those of you who don't know, promo work's basically what any artist does.
Yeah.
So in other countries as well, where you basically, how would you sum up promo work?
It's like
that free stuff, basically. That's like most of it, right?
It's like the front experience of brands, experimental.
Yeah. I guess that's like the
experiential.
Experiential is like the fancy name.
We were doing a Pepsi one, right?
We were, yeah. So
and we were waiting for the stock, and then we were speaking about your experience at Strasbourg and what I did and everything. And then obviously we did the job together, and it didn't go smoothly.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, that's it actually. Yeah, we used to, because it was Pepsi campaign, and we were doing it was the summer, right? And you were doing it you had another team, I had another team. We were both managing, weren't we? And then we'd always meet at the warehouse, and I'd heard of you through other people, and then we kind of just had just general chit chat and stuff, and then we start talking a bit more, and I was like, this guy's pretty cool. And then we got put on a campaign, didn't we? And it was the tour round. It started in the north, didn't it? And we had to drive up. Should we go through what happened? So basically,
no, don't even bother.
we're going to it now that we started.
How long ago did we meet though? Like 6 years, 7 years?
2014, I think. 13, 14. Yeah. Because it was it was 2004.
So like, 6 or 7 years then.
Yeah, something like that. And then we spoke over the course of like a few weeks. Whenever we used to meet at the warehouse to pick up kit and stuff. Where was it? In Staines, weren't it? Yeah, the warehouse in Staines. And then we'd like chat and stuff. And then we got put on a job, and you were managing. I was your assistant, and it was a national tour. And then you picked up the kit, and you picked up some of it. No, you picked up a bit, and I picked up a bit.
I couldn't go to training, so you went and you got it.
That's it.
And I arrived, and then you blew the machine.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So yeah, I went to pick up the kit, and the guys at the warehouse basically gave me dodgy kit, and then we basically
They gave you that gas thing.
Yeah, so and
then you blew the pipes because they didn't even need gas, so they like misinformed you and trained.
Yeah, and then I got sacked, didn't I? We were driving back from Leeds. They were like, "Oh, you need to bring the kit to London. We need to fix it." I was like, "Okay, cool." So we started driving, and we were just so pissed off. And then we forgot to put diesel in.
You did.
We broke down. We could see the petrol station on the motorway. It was off a slip road. We broke down, and then I went over, and I was just going to use a bottle, and the guy was like, "Nah, mate, you can't use a bottle." I was like, "Why am I going to buy a can which is worth more than the petrol, the diesel that goes inside it?" So I had to buy that, and then we got on, and then it was just a mess.
I remember the rental company calling me and saying, "Why are you parked on the M25 or whatever?" Yeah. I was like, "I'm not parked. Zahid didn't fill up the..."
And I was just like, they weren't even like, "Are you okay?" They were like, "Why are you parked there for?" And I'm like, "Well, thanks for asking how we are. First of all, we're fine. And second of all, we ran out of fuel." And they're like, "That's
exactly."
I know, but yeah, that's kind of how we met. And then we've always kind of kept in contact. We became really good friends. And then you obviously was a writer as well. And then we'd kind of talk about ideas and stuff and share ideas, etc. And we'd always kind of outside work became really good friends as well. And then we obviously continued to work together quite a bit. And then when we started getting together for this, because you're one of the people that kind of inspired me to create a group, because I would work with you and we would discuss ideas and we'd share ideas and we'd read each other's work and stuff like that. And we'd do it individually. And then since lockdown, I just came up with the idea of like, we should have a group of us do it together. and kind of bring all our brains and our, I guess, knowledge together and do this. And then obviously you jumped on board, and it's been going well since, obviously. How has it been for you?
The groups?
Yeah. How have you found it?
Yes, it's nice. I mean, I kind of shut down, not in a negative way, but just kind of closed off my inspirations to create more work, because I've done a lot, and then I didn't know where to go with the work I already had. So I kind of shut down in that area and was just focused on other things like day-to-day life. And then this has brought it back out of me. You know, watching the videos you've done with the other guys is really nice, because you get to know them more. And obviously we're finding out different areas about our work and ideas through the group. So it's also nice to have a scheduled, obviously I haven't been there for all of them, but
yeah, no, it's cool. It happens sometimes, you know, you miss a few, whatever, but it's cool. Like, we're still a core group, which is good. And as you said, it's good to have like a weekly meeting where you're like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then also just kind of getting feedback and ideas of other writers on how to kind of progress. Sometimes when you hit kind of a wall, it's good to have somebody you can, you know, take your work into and discuss ideas with, scenes with, and kind of move forward from there. So that's been really good as well. You jump straight into the questions. I don't know if I've sent them to you, haven't I? Or you don't know. All right, this is going to be fun then. I'm sure it'll be fine. But so we're going to start with the questionnaire. I'm sure you're familiar with it. You know, it's the questionnaire by Bernard Pivot, the one that James Lipton uses inside the Actor Studio. You're familiar with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So
the countless hours I've watched of that.
Yeah, so we'll start with that, and then we're kind of move on from there. This kind of I guess, your creative juices flowing, and you know, yeah, we'll get into it. So, what's your favorite word?
Probably inspiration.
Inspiration, amazing. And what's your least favorite word?
CUNT. I can't stand that word. It gets me so annoyed.
Yeah, it's quite a horrible word, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Going to the cinema and seeing a film that stops my mind working.
Stops him. What do you mean stops you mind
working? In the sense, having worked in film on some movies, and obviously studying film and studying writing and writing myself and going to drama school, all this is a process of how to put the puzzle together and to create, you know, the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
And I can't help but, if the film isn't resonating with me on a level, I can't help but keep my mind active and think, oh, this is how they did this scene, or this is this, or this, or I don't particularly believe the integrity of that scene. Whereas, like Christopher Nolan puts, you know, so much detail and thought into his work, I can't help but get swept away by his world, which is the most incredible experience going to cinema. But it's quite rare. It's quite rare, because films, you know, you get a lot of films that are just there to make money.
You're absolutely right. I think I agree. As a film student or somebody who studied any of the arts, I guess you do start to break things down and start to, you know, as you said, you know, oh, this is how they did this, how they did that. But if a filmmaker can switch that part of you off, then I guess that's a good thing.
It's like being in a relationship. It's like going on a date and thinking, holy shit, 5-6 hours has passed, and all we've done is sat on this bench. Time dissipates.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching art, that, you know, like when I went and watched Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners or something, I was on the edge of my seat, because I was so sucked into his world. Or obviously Interstellar, and these are the films that get me going.
What turns you off?
In terms of?
Just what turns you off? Anything that turns you off. It doesn't have to be sexually. It's just whatever turns you off. Anything.
I think it turns me off is people taking the easy way. I find it's like, I would do this just because it's quick and easy. Whereas I feel if you go the full 9 yards, obviously it's going to be harder, but it shows.
It does, absolutely. I think that's even in day-to-day, just day-to-day life where people take the easy career, they take the easy route, they take, they take easy routes, especially with careers. I find that's one big one.
That turns me off a lot. I find it quite difficult.
Yeah. And then
I always want to push to be more, and that's what's wonderful about the group is we're positively pushing each other to think from a different perspective, or to learn something you didn't know about, or to give experiences. Because I was thinking prior to this conversation, I've actually been writing for 9 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I can't quite believe it. 9 years has gone by, and they say if you put 10,000 hours into something, then you're on your way to having that skill set for what you do. So,
absolutely.
And yeah.
What's your? You don't really. I don't know if this applies to you. I've never really heard you swear in like the last 6 years I've known you. What's your favorite curse word?
I'd probably shit.
That's the politest one.
Like, yeah, like, oh shit, I forgot this, or oh shit, because it's kind of fun at the same time when you get into the other ones, they can be a bit more.
Yeah, that's the tamest one we've had so far. What sound or noise do you love?
I love the wind in the trees.
Okay, that's a cool, relaxing sound. What sound or noise do you hate?
Sweet packets in the cinema.
That is annoying.
That really gets me.
I want to throw like something at people. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Maybe an architect or a surfer.
You got to pick one, and why? They're very two really different jobs.
I think one's very like formal and logical, and then the other one's just completely free.
Yeah, it is.
Where you're just literally, I'd probably go for that one because I need more of that. Where it's just you in the ocean.
The surfer.
Yeah, that would be a cool career.
Okay, cool. And what profession would you not like to do?
A server, a full-time server.
A server, as in like
a waiter. Yeah.
Why not? That's like the most stereotypical job as an actor.
It's not the one I'd choose, brother.
Okay, why not? Have you ever done it? You've done it, right? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, of course. I've worked in pubs and bars. I worked in nightclubs for years. I'd give I'd take my hat off to anyone that does it, because you have to bring everything, otherwise people will judge you, and I don't want to put myself in a position where I've got to bring everything for other people all the time.
Okay, and final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at it?
I enjoyed watching your experience. You did a good job.
That's a good answer. I'm sure that is exactly what he'd say when you get there as well. And then we'll move on to some other questions. So just kind of personal background within the arts for you. Where did it all start for you?
Well, I guess traditionally, just in the sense of like, everyone's seen inside the actor studio, and it's the common theme of family dysfunction or losing a parent or divorce or whatnot. I initially found school really difficult because I couldn't figure out my own situation as a kid, and acting or performance or that kind of thing as a young was a way of like getting away from who I was, which then ironically when I went to drama school and I was doing an audition piece with one of the teachers, they said, Elliot, you have to bring yourself. And this is years, not like professionally on film sets, but this is like years of knowing I want to work in the arts and work as an actor, and going to college and then going to drama school. And I always thought I had to be away from myself, so I would always be choosing characters that were so different from myself, or transforming my body, putting a voice on. Whereas when she said,
how would you?
She said,
so sorry to interrupt. I want to get to that point before I forget it. So you said you would do characters that were not you or far away from you. Would you?
They were like completely different from me. So like whatever idea I had of myself, it would be the opposite. Whereas she was saying, Brad Pitt brings himself, and the reason he gets cast in these movies is because of his skill set. But there has to be him within this, and obviously his skill set translates onto the screen. So you watch these characters and his performance, but he has to be there. Whereas if you're bringing, this character and not yourself, I was always, even when I was at drama school, I was in a shell. I was constantly, I'd never give the full performance until the actual day. And then the teachers were like, oh, wow, where did this come from? I'd always be like, I think to some degree I even do it now. I made this short film and hardly anyone saw it. And if it wasn't for this group, I don't think I'd be showing my work in this way. So I'm excited actually because I've done loads of workshops and had lots of people read it, but in the sense of just there's no intention for it. Like before, when I was working on the scripts, it was to like I did with you, for the example, like you and I would always work. There was a goal to complete the script and to form this scene. Whereas now it's just to hear people's thoughts and hear what they thought of it.
And then what's the biggest thing you took away from drama school? You said growing up and your first experiences with acting, for example, were that you would play characters that are not you. But then what did you learn at drama school, and how did you change?
I don't even think I learned at drama schools. I understood. Drama school gave me the notion of what it takes to be a professional and to show up and to do the work and, to understand all these different areas. I knew that Shakespeare wasn't an interest for me, and it still isn't. And even in classes, the teachers would say, we would do, like, for example, we'd do a breakdown of a Shakespeare piece, and we would read scenes, and then he would have the class members give a notion of the way they would direct that scene. And he would always say, Elliot, obviously, I think you really need to head towards film, because the way my mind operates is in that area, in terms of the way I capitalize it. So screenwriting has been a real avenue for me to express, because I can see the entire movie before I've even written it, and then I get to write these characters and scenarios. The first screenplay I did, I had written the end scene before I'd even hit the middle scene. And then when I'm writing it and putting it together, I'm laughing because what I saw in my mind, that script to screen, my mind has the ability to do that. Okay. And practicing screenwriting gives me that expression that I sometimes can't get in other areas.
So drama school basically made you.
It didn't do too much for me. I respect.
Did it scare you away from wanting to be an actor, basically?
Well,
Or,
I did it, but it's so heavily. I mean, I went to drama centre, and
Mhm.
it's so heavily focused on theatre and Shakespeare, and there's a massive part on movement, which was good. So it helped me understand that. And I did ballet, and I would never do these things if I hadn't gone to drama school. I gave it everything, but it didn't have the film aspect, and it didn't. I find English people a little difficult in the sense of the expression. You went and studied in New York, and when I lived in Canada, it's a different type of expression, and that type of expression in those countries is more me. So when I moved to Toronto and worked at the film festival, and my job was to welcome the actors and directors off the plane. So I met like Robert Redford and Ryan Reynolds and Keanu, and I didn't give a shit about their star status. I was interested in how they got from where they were to where they are now. And they could see that straight away that I wasn't, I was professional, and I would take them from the airport to their car and make sure they're going to the right hotel. And I sponged so much information from these people during I think I did 3 years at Toronto Film Festival. And I'd say I learned more from actively being out, immersing myself, and having that hunger to learn more from drama school. But that's on reflection is my personality.
Okay. And then what do you feel why is art so important in societies today or in culture?
I think we are saturated with a lot of content, but I mean the definition of art is up for a discussion. But from my point of view, I would say that stories are so important. Like I said, that moment I get swept away and I go out of my mind. I'm in the cinema. I'm enriched in this experience and this story, and more often than not, because we're all human and we're going through a human experience, there is empathy, and that's why stories have lasted so long and will last, keep on going and going. Because I believe back in the day, cinemas used to be called Dreamland, or I think it was like a dream complex or dreamland. That's what they were. So it's that notion of you're getting to be in a different place, and because you're surrendering to that experience, you get to learn about whatever that experience. I mean, Interstellar hit me hard. I watched that film like 6-7 times, and it helped me understand things in my relationship to my father or my family. And that's why art is so important, because we live in lives where we're constantly connected, in the sense of our mind is never at rest. I lived in London for all those years, and it's hard not to switch. It's hard to switch off. You're on the subway, there's marketing, you subconsciously are taking it on the subway, there's people around you, there's this, there's that, and there's the phone content. I mean, ironically, the scene we're going to do on Thursday is about this particular topic they're discussing. So I mean, without art and music, I don't think I would have any way of finding an aspect of myself. It's my form of understand. It's like you said, your drama school when you went to Strasbourg is a form of therapy, and art is a form of expression. Whether you're an expressive person, whereas obviously artists are in their own ways, and bankers don't have that same expression, but they will receive the human experience of a story and empathize with it in different ways. And that's the interesting thing. I used to work at BAFTA, and I would get to watch all of the movies before they were released. And I remember watching them then and thinking, oh wow, and certain movies connected with me. And I watch them now, and they don't do anything for me, because I'm going through the growth, and it's what I resonate with. Evan said something that I hadn't thought about in that way. I think he was talking about a book and how it was his childhood book with you, and that it was what he was drawn to, and he believes that we are drawn to what we're drawn to. And I didn't think of it in that way, and it's a nice notion, because I've been drawn to all these different inspirations through film and my life, and then I want it's because it's innately who I am, and a part of me is coming through what I'm inspired by.
And then what's your experience?
You're getting some long-winded answers here, brother.
No, they're really good, really good in-depth answers as well, which is good as well. It shows you obviously you care about what you do massively as well, which I think is super important within arts, because if you don't care about it enough, you're going to fall short.
Which went back to what don't I like is people not giving it, everything. Yeah, it's like doing a half-assed job. Have some freaking
pride in it.
I mean, like I said, I've been writing 9 years, and I've spent a lot of time and thought going over and over and over my work. And the reason I want to make movies is because what movies give me, I hope to, without any way of knowing if I will or not, but my intention is to offer something back, because I know that through my experience of life, I have a different perspective that maybe other people won't. Mm-hmm. And I can offer that through my stories. Because I was thinking today, and I realized most of my stories are about family and identity. Mm-hmm. I realize that now. All of them, they all have that theme and that thread.
And I guess
character's identity.
Yeah, as an artist, I guess I think it's Hemingway who said it. He was just like, the kind of stuff you write about are not the things you discuss over lunch. Like, it's things that are really deep down, like rooted inside you. That's what you need to talk about, and that's obviously clearly important to you, and that's kind of what you write about. And it's almost discovery about yourself as well as you're doing it, as well as lending your experience to other people that might come and watch it, and you might reach out to them.
Yeah. And I truly believe, I think it's different if you're an actor, like, you're going for these shows and then you get cast in Game of Thrones or whatnot. I think it's slightly different what I'm about to say, but I think when your work is so personal to you and you're going to write, direct, produce, and get completely behind it, and it is, intrinsic in why you have to tell this story, I don't think those alignments happen where you cross with the right people until you figured your shit out. I mean, the more and more I'm working on stuff for myself, I'm like, I can see why this hasn't happened yet, because, I mean, Jesus, the film that we're doing on Thursday is a homage to my father's actions in life. And I ended up meeting Rebecca only because I wanted her to play one of the characters in the movie. And when I saw her on the red carpet, not knowing her, I thought, Jesus, that's the character that I've imagined when I'm writing this fictional character. And then we started going for meetings about my film, just to chat and express what this is and see if she gets an idea of the story before she reads the script. And there was a moment, and it was about 10 seconds, and I could hear the character's voice in Rebecca. It was the weirdest thing. It was the most bizarre thing. And then ironically, our relationship ended up being about the theme of my father and how that is not resolved. So it's, art and life, when it's so personal, I mean, it's on the hinge. And you see those themes all the time. Like with Christopher Nolan, or he has this love for time and how you can bend the narrative of time. And then, so it obviously means something to him, and dreams.
Even like Finding Nemo, right? The guy who wrote it, I think it's Andrew Stanton wrote it, maybe. One of the guys who wrote it, right? I haven't, this is really embarrassing, I haven't seen Finding Nemo myself, but I watched his TED Talk, and he talks about how he was born premature and he was like an ill baby. And have you seen Finding Nemo?
Yeah.
Like, he's born premature or something, right?
I don't remember, but he's this little fish that obviously is having a hard time fitting in.
Yes. So he based it off his own experience. So I think he was born premature or something like that. There was like something like, happened to him when he was a baby, which made him feel out of place. And that's what he wrote, Finding. Even children's are like, stem from the writer's most personal, intimate problems.
And you know what's interesting, because when I started writing, I did it through inspiration. People kept saying I look like this guy, and when I was living in Toronto, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool being in a movie with him? And then I moved back to England, and people were still saying I look like this actor. And I thought, hey.
By the way, on several occasions, I've just lied to people that he's Ryan Gosling just to like.
Yeah. But that's what started. I took the inspiration of what people were saying, but I saw something deeper. I thought, I did the research, and we were both born on the same day, and whatever happens with my idea for that, the conduit gave me inspiration to want to tell a story. And then I realized why I hadn't pursued acting in the same way. It was because I want to foster a story. I have more interest in what am I telling here, rather than being the actor in somebody else's story.
And then how did you experience as an actor? How did you graduate drama school? Did you just switch off from being an actor? You went forward as an actor first of all, didn't you?
No, I didn't actually. I ended up having to have some treatment on my jaw because of I had a bite to that one. Anyway, long story short, I kind of stepped off and didn't think I'll get my headshots or anything. And then I found out about Toronto and moved over to the film festival. And then, this stuff with the inspiration to Ryan and me wanting to tell this story about these two boys. Mm-hmm. And then I followed that.
Yeah, okay. And what's your experience been? You've done a lot of other work within film and TV. What's your experience been in terms of being a writer, and then what you had to do in order to essentially pay the bills while you do pursue writing?
Well, that's it. That's the thing. The contrast of having your what you believe in, right? The contrast of what you believe in to your reality right now, and it's been a real battle because I've done every job under the sun. I left drama school and I was a bin man for a few months, and that was like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. And my mum said, she said, use this to give you inspiration, and then years and years later, I went skiing, and I had a snowboarding accident, and I slightly concussed. And I took a few days off, and I had this dream, and it felt so real because I don't dream much. I don't really remember my dream. And it felt so real, I couldn't shake it. And I started researching, how did Christopher Nolan come up with the idea for Inception? Because it's obviously all about dreams. And then I just sat with this notion of being slightly concussed because I was in and out of sleep. And I ended up writing a film about a bin man, and he ends up being in an accident from a car, and then it's like the shift of whether or not he's in a dream or not, and bending that. But that wouldn't have come if I hadn't have been a bin man after drama school, because of the contrast of like, what is my life to them?
Yeah, and I think art is a reflection of your reality as well. And at that time, that's what you're going through, and that's kind of what you write about.
Yeah.
Process and things develop, and then you develop the idea, and then you might not use that idea in particular, but then that all you draw inspiration from that in order to get to point B, point C, point D, etc., and kind of move forward with that. And then you get to a point where you're like, I've got it here now. Everything I've written, I've done it as well, where I've written stuff and I'm like, yeah. And then you kind of move forward, and then it just kind of develops into, a final product which you're really happy with and you're happy to send out and pitch to people as well. Where do your sources of inspiration come from? You've talked about kind of obviously your personal life and stuff, but in terms of figures, or if there's any other points in your life that you kind of draw inspiration from?
Yeah, massively music. I don't think there's a second where I'm not listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me, it's almost like having a constant meditation track on, having music going, because my mind is so jacked up with ideas or thoughts, or it's just running and figuring things out. And music gives that. It's like being under the water. You know, I've been going swimming quite a lot in the sea, and I go under the water, and it's like the most peaceful moment until obviously you run out of air and you come back up.
And you come back up. It doesn't annoy me, but it kind of makes me jealous a little bit, right? That a musician can take you somewhere in 4 minutes, right? And we take 2 hours.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a different form, isn't it? When I made that short film, I thought, I mean, hats off to these people that do adverts. Those adverts out there that have changed the game in terms of advertising or impact on people. Hats off to those. But I like the idea of, you know, and that's why TV series are so great, like Ozark or you know, whatever series people are most interested in, is because you get to psychologically go on that journey with that character for X amount of hours, whereas over a song, you're going to have to listen to that song a lot. I mean, I will listen to that song a lot to get the same result of a movie, right?
Mm-hmm. And what's it mean? Artist is like a word that gets thrown around a lot. And it varies from person, as you said earlier, it varies from person to person, the meaning of an artist. Now, what does it mean to you to be an artist?
All I can say is that I know through my whole entire being, just and when I do these jobs and they give me massive contrast, that I have a responsibility to myself to express what it means to me to be an artist. And I think any artist that has acknowledged their expression, obviously, you know, Banksy, he has his expression, he's had a huge impact on people in such a wonderful way, because he's giving a different perspective on culture, or a different perspective on politics, or, you know. And I think if you have that burning within you, it's your responsibility to express your art against all the odds, and the odds are difficult. I mean, I've had innate belief in what in my art and what I believe in my stories. But when I got to work on set on those movies with Army, that was such a wonderful thing, because I could sink into what I believed about was possible in terms of showing up and being on a professional working set, and getting to see the way they put it together on this big level, rather than always talking about ideas and having this gap between where I am and where I believe I want to be, which is what I was constantly asking the guys when I was at the festival about, you know, how did you get from where you were to where you are, and working on the set and being around people that I admire and really respect, because they are going 110% on making the product as best they can. And that was wonderful. But at the same time, I saw how much I'm an artist, because this is, and this can be interpreted in the wrong way, and I hope it isn't, but it kind of was with the people I was working with, so I had to learn to shut up. Is, you know, obviously I'd read the script, we'd get the sides, and I'd already read the script, and then you get the daily side, and I would obviously know all of Army stuff, but I would interpret some of the scenes in my own imagination, and then I would get to see these scenes put into reality through the way Ken imagined these movies, or the scene, and the designer and all these people. But when the scene was being played out, you know, because we were running it through before the cameras come on and Army and the rest of them do it, I would have my own take. And I would say, oh, it'd be so cool if they had a camera there, or they did this, or Army said that. Luckily, he's a cool dude, and we had a rapport where he allowed me to express that part of me, and didn't see it as what the fuck are you talking? What are you talking about? This is Kenneth Branagh's movie. You're just some double. What are you talking about? He allowed that, and that allowed me to understand my being, what it is to be an artist. Because I wasn't saying I think I could do this better. It was, I have a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because some days I said to him, oh, that scene you just did, or the one you rehearsed, I said, what about if you said that and then said, and he said, oh yeah, think about it. And some days we would, after work, he'd say, oh, by the way, I did what you said. It was a good idea, thanks.
Oh, nice.
Or there was a different day where he was, running something, and he had something in his hand. And I said, do you think that the character would really have that? Would they be carrying that? And he's like, I don't know. And went and spoke with the director, and he said, Elliot, yeah, you win versus me and the prop guy, because the prop guy obviously wants this thing in the movie. And then was like, but it's not the truth of the scene. And that, for me, art could be anything, but if you have the truth, and that's what, Banksy is amazing at, or Christopher Nolan, they play the truth of whatever it is. If a guy runs and jumps out of a window and he survives because it's within the foundations of this scene we've set up, and they play the truth of that because he's Batman or because of this, then I'm totally on board with whatever. But if they, he lives because he needs to get to the end of the movie, it's like, really playing the truth of that. And that's the thing that loses me in cinema in the most euphoric way.
Mm. And now, having spoken to all the people you have, and picking their brains for like how they got from A to B to C, what's your plan? Where do you go from here, and what's next for you? What's in the pipeline?
Yeah,
This ace this question.
It's like an avalanche.
All those actors. Army watches.
I actually took this. I've been so involved in my work in the way of, I don't take time off or go on holiday because I'm constantly thinking. I'm always trying to take action to further myself with what I want to create in my life. So this year I've actually just said, let it go. And that's why it's nice. We're going to read my script or a scene on Thursday, because I've just I'm learning to let it go and life to bring it to me. Because at the end of the day, I don't think you have that much control over it.
Let what go?
I think you can put yourselves in the right scenarios. You can work on your own craft, and you can work on yourself and develop what you have in your craft. And when the opportunity comes, boom, you're ready. But I don't know if you really have that much control over the way in which your career goes. I ended up being with a company, and they asked if I did doubling, and I said yeah, and said, is this Army? Because I know there's only a certain amount of actors that are my height and look similar, and that kind of put them on the back foot, because they were like, how does he know? Because it was a secret movie. And then I went to the interview and I told them, yeah, I've done doubling for him before, even though I'd not met him. And then obviously I just showed up and was a professional and did my job and was myself. And then he invited me to do the next one. But I didn't have any control over that. There wasn't anything I could. It's like in a relationship.
No, but you kind of did. You were with that agency that were recruiting for Army and that movie.
Yeah, but I don't mean that. Yeah, that's creating a chance for opportunities. But he did Man from Uncle. I was put up for that one years ago, and I wasn't chosen. I wasn't chosen then.
Yeah.
And then this time it came round, and then me and him were in a similar place in our lives. So we connected on some areas, and he saw that I was a straight up guy, he invited me to do the next one, but I didn't have any control over it, in the sense of all I could do is show up. It's the same as a relationship. I don't have any control over how the relationship goes. All I can do is show up and do my best.
No, I think you do. I think you have control over things that happen in your life to a certain degree. You do all the groundwork, you do all the prep work. You wouldn't have got the job if you weren't Eliot. And you've put work into being Eliot. And the opportunity there, you put yourself forward. If you don't get it, who gives a damn? But you've created that opportunity for chance. And I can't remember who said it, but luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Now, if you weren't prepared, you wouldn't have got that opportunity. You wouldn't have got that job. So I think you do put a lot in. I think.
But then there's the 1,001 opportunities I put myself forward for, and that haven't come anything.
Yeah, but
but who knows what they will be in the future? Maybe all these people I put myself in front of and given my script to, like Ryan and all the rest of it.
But still, you do you create your own opportunities through hard work. I think people would be like, oh, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen kind of thing. I think that's a cop-out. I think you should put yourself forward for stuff. You should move towards stuff. And who gives a damn if somebody says no? I've put myself up for stuff that you just see, I shouldn't really say this, but you see my CV, half the shit I can't even do. But I'm like, I can learn it, so therefore I can do it. And I've got loads of opportunities and I've been in places that I didn't know how to do it, but I winged it, and you just get it.
But what I'm saying is, we didn't have any control over the fact you and I meeting. That happened. And as friends, we kept showing up. That's what I'm saying. I can submit myself to all these agents and do what you're supposed to do, but then I can also just work on a film set because of that opportunity came, and I created that relationship, and then that happened. Because in my experience, every time I've tried to control,
it's not. It's just about doing.
No, that's what I mean by I'm going to do this and it's going to get this result, or I'm going to, because I've gone off the grid, and you know everything. I mean, I put myself in front of freaking Michael Caine and given him my script in front of 5,000 people. But I don't know if that way works for me. I have to.
You just have to keep on doing, and something will eventually happen. And if it doesn't happen, you just keep on doing it. Like you've got to. It's like, I don't know, playing football. Like if you keep on taking free kicks, you feel like I'm just going to take them now and again, and if it happens, it happens. I've got no control of them going in. No, what you do is you keep on practicing, and they will start to go in. Like we do what we do, right, because we enjoy it, and that's what we should continue to do. And we practice so much that where, people can't ignore us. That's the level you kind of get, rather than like, I've got no control over the outcome. Just do it because you enjoy it. And that's the most important thing. Like, success is subjective. Like, I can feel like a success if I'm doing community theatre for the rest of my life. But when it comes to like big jobs and stuff, you might get them, but just do theatre right because you enjoy it. Do theatre because you enjoy it. Make films because you enjoy it. And then the outcome, you're right, you've got no control over it, but you're doing everything you can that would increase chances of you getting where you need to get to. Yeah. But yeah. Right, it's coming up to like an hour it is. Should we start wrapping up? It's been such an interesting chat. Like I've learned, I knew quite a lot about you before I knew, but I've learned a lot more, and it's been like a good insightful chat, I think. You've enjoyed it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to share and talk about our work.
Yeah, that's it. That's the most important thing, I think. But yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you for coming on, Eliot. And I'll see you on Thursday anyway, won't I?
Mm-hmm.
Take care, man. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, brother.
See you later.